Hi guys! Today we'll be recapping a story, Please Don't Come to the Villainous' Stationery Store. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps us a lot. Enjoy! Dominick's father is furious today and wants her to leave their family. This is due to the original owner of her body failing so many businesses and losing 10 billion of their money. Her stepmother Hildegarde is involved in this, but her father, the Duke, doesn't seem to mind. Our girl is only too happy to accept the cash he throws her way as severance for leaving. Her father expects her to beg, but she isn't going to play along this time. She has been waiting to be kicked out, and now is the day, so she gladly bids her father farewell. She packs her belongings and plans to leave as quickly as possible before they take her money. Rosaline, her maid and the only person in the house who likes her, is surprised to see her getting ready to leave. Mel just says that she's following her dream, and Rosaline thinks that means she's finally going to ask Duke Hessman of the North to marry her. Well, it was the original owner who dreamed of marrying him, not her. She's been living in a fantasy novel for the past few months, with Duke Hessman and her stepsister Sharia as the main characters. In the novel, however, Dominic is the villain who becomes engaged to the Duke and then kills herself out of jealousy. She tried desperately to return to her real world, but eventually gave up. She plans to do whatever she wants and open a stationery shop, which has been her dream for a long time. It's natural that Rosaline doesn't know what kind of store she's referring to, but she still has concerns that she'll fail this time. She tries to scare her about how it would badly change her life if she left, from the dresses she wears to the food she'll eat, but Mel doesn't mind at all. Her maid is getting teary as she warns her that her abusive stepmother may come after her when she is finally outside. She appreciates Rosaline's concern that she stay so that she can continue to receive protection, but she has already made her decision and plans to call her when things go well. Others are calling her the bloodline of curse as she walks down the stairs, and they are wondering where she's heading. This is because her mother was the last direct blood relative of the dragon-cursed Marquis Kinnoa, and like her mother, most people with the blood die at a young age. Anyway, she's become used to their loud gossiping and heads to her carriage with intentions to take a trip to the slums. But before she leaves, she gives them her final goodbye that only she knows. A middle finger, and brightly tells them, a mean word. And she's off. Lady Hildegarde will definitely make Sharia marry the Duke now that she has left her family, but she can't be sure that her stepmother won't kill her to make things go smoothly for them. So before she starts her store, she has already made plans to get protection from the strongest knight. She stops the carriage, not in the city or any streets, but in a cemetery. 1,000 years ago, the Empire was in chaos due to demons from the divine world, until a man emerged and sacrificed himself to seal the demons with him in a magical sword. Heroic legends about the great hero is well known across the Empire, and in the novel, it was Duke Hessman who discovered the sword and was adored by all, even to the point of attempting to declare him emperor. However, Mel finds the sword and draws it this time. A charming young man with black hair and blue eyes appears in front of her, much like a genie. He is Dominic, the 17-year-old who saved the Empire. She gives him the sword back and asks for a contract right away, which didn't surprise him. He wants to know what she wants so he can decide if she's worth the contract. What confuses him, though, is that she only wants him to protect her. They can conquer the Empire if she wants, but she says that all she wants to do is own a stationery store, and he only needs to protect the store with her. It's funny that Dominic thinks stationery is what she wants to call the new empire, so she explains it's a store for children. She knows that if he can fully grant the contractor's wish, he will become human again, so this should be a really easy task for him. Dominic thinks about it for a second, and the two shake hands to seal their contract. They teleport in front of the prestigious academy, and Dominic is ready to enter the building, but is shocked when Mel points to an old 2-story building where they will begin their new life. After her mother died, her title was revoked, and their holdings were completely enjoyed by her father. But the only item her mother left in her name was the house, which is now falling apart. Dominic still can't believe he'll be living here, and he thinks he was tricked. Well, this is why you have to read the contract's terms and conditions before you sign it. LOL. When they walk in, the house looks really shabby, but just thinking about where she can put all the children's toys and imagining their store full of kids is already making her happy. Dominic sees how sincere she is and stops being grumpy to help her clean the house. Mel is actually an orphan in the real world, and the people who took care of her helped her grow up to be strong. She is especially grateful to the stationery store owner, who is always nice to her and gives her candies all the time. So she aspires to be like her and to make every child who visits her shop happy as well. Such an innocent dream. Can't wait for the opening. The next day, she goes to the Imperial Palace with Dominic, who is now in the shape of a sword, to get her business license. She's feeling great until a man she's only met once spoils her mood. In front of her stands Duke Lennox. He knows she left her family, but he doesn't like it and demands his future wife return within a month. As far as she knows, Lennox was just warm at first, but once he's charmed Meldonic, his attitude changed. He belittles her, paying no attention to her talents, and starts having an affair with Sharia. The two kept it a secret, but when Mel confronts him about the rumors, he gaslights her as if it's her fault, and even has the nerve to tell her not to worry because in the end, it will be them who get married. Mel doesn't understand why Lennox continues to bother her when she knows that he will miss and get closer to her sister Sharia while she's on vacation in the Holy Nation. She then tells him she's aware of his affair with Sharia, but he manipulates her anyway since he believes she's still the old Mel who loves him. But sorry not sorry, our Mel is different and is now breaking up with him. She even gives him advice and tells him to marry Sharia instead. With that, there should be no problem with the political marriage between their families. The Duke, however, does not appear to have intentions to marry her sister, despite the fact that she's gorgeous and different from Mel in many ways. He only desires to marry her. And if that's the case, she tells him he could just marry Hildegarde, which confuses the Duke, as he can't really tell what she's thinking right now. She unsheaths her sword and strikes it on the ground, demonstrating her resolve and clearly stating that she is now formally requesting annulment with him. She informs him that she will send a farewell letter soon before leaving the Duke, who is still processing what she has just said. Since she doesn't usually act this way, he thinks she's just trying to get his attention out of jealousy. He is so full of himself that he thinks a girl who is obsessed with him cannot change overnight. Mel walks back to him, and Lennox expects her to apologize, which makes her chuckle. The novel's problem, in her opinion, is that it features a male lead like him. You're not wrong. She comes to correct him, as he probably thinks she's acting this way to garner his attention, which isn't really the case. He instantly grabs her and suspects she is cheating on him. The audacity! She points that a passing stranger is 100 times better than marrying him, hoping he realizes how much she despises him. She doesn't want to hear him label her a cheater, so she tells him outright that he's the one who's trash. Mel resumes her walk after feeling proud of herself for roasting the Duke. She enters the government agency and receives her license shortly. Even the attendant has a look on her face that tells she'll fail again this time. She's known for her lack of talent, but she doesn't care and leaves the place gleefully. A man picks up a document she dropped, and while she's organizing it, the gentleman questions her marriage to the Duke, which makes her angry just thinking about it. He finds her amusing, and that's when she realizes he's the man she pointed out earlier, but when she looks, he's already gone. She then comes to her newly clean and neat home, thanks to Dominic, and they discuss how they will use the money she received. The $100 million to pay a witch to fix the house, and the other $100 million to buy stationery store delights. But first, she can't forget to send Lennox a letter requesting an annulment. She blames her family for taking so long to remove her from the Babeloa family, which is why the Duke is bugging her, while Dominic can't understand why a noble like her is giving up her position. Well, she has to cut them off and give up her last name to get the freedom she wants. After all, if she becomes a civilian, her marriage to the Duke will be cancelled, and she's determined she can get her reputation back someday since she has Dominic. This flutters him, and he agrees that he's indeed reliable. She's finished drafting her letter to both her family and the Duke, so her ties to them should be severed once she sends this. She gradually absorbs Meldonic's memories after transmigrating into her body, and she understands how hurt the former Meldonic was. Her childhood was not great. Young nobles bullied her for having cursed blood. Her stepmother abused her, and her father doesn't care about her at all. Not sure if this is something to be thankful for, but her father cares so much about his reputation that he doesn't want others to backbite his daughter. As a result, everyone treats her like a princess, yet their eyes tell a different story. As a result of growing up alone, she has become arrogant and snobbish in order to protect herself. Mel of the present doesn't have the power to take revenge, so all she can do now is completely remove them out of her life. Dominic spots strange people following them the next day, who are most likely working for both Lady Hildegarde and the Duke to keep an eye on her. She isn't concerned because she has Dominic with her, so the two go for a walk when they notice a young child who appears to be in pain. She quickly grabs him and tries to take him to a doctor, but the boy is very stubborn. So Dominic carries him on his back and says he will treat him himself. When they get home, the young kid finds that her house is very run down and scary. Dominic uses magic to tend to his knee quickly while the kid acts like he's all brave. Then Mel recognizes the antique music box the kid is clutching, making him quite embarrassed because he expects her to mock it. But to his surprise, Mel likes it, and for the first time he meets someone who appreciates old stuff as much as he does. He then reveals that he bought it as a birthday present for his brother but is unsure if he will like it, while Mel encourages him that his brother will certainly enjoy it, and the two become closer. After Dominic treats his wounds, the kid starts to get sleepy, so Mel decides to have him sleep on the second floor for an hour until a carriage arrives. The child is sleep-talking and wants to know for sure that her abandoned house is not haunted. She can't believe he called her pretty shop abandoned. Well, kids don't lie, Mel. While Dominic carries the kid upstairs and lets him sleep, she's determined to remodel their house after realizing her shop isn't really appealing to kids yet, so the two begin by cleaning up their garden. While they clean up the backyard, Dominic tells her that he used magic to brainwash the people who were following them. This wasn't part of their deal, but it was a gift that Mel really appreciated. Suddenly, she discovers his sword lying in the grass with a dark aura on it, and he rushes to her side to protect her. Someone is striking them with ice magic, and while Dominic is protecting her with a barrier, she finds the ice stones fascinating because they don't melt. Then it goes straight for Mel and tries to kill her until Dominic starts to take things seriously and turns it into its human form. He is actually a demon sealed in his sword, and he calls himself the Moonlight Winter Devil. Dominic thinks he got freed by accident because he still can't control his power after being sealed for 100 years, but there's nothing to worry about since he can't just seal him back. Mel is really impressed by the demon's ice magic, since in this world, where there are no freezers, ice is very valuable. So Mel comes up with a great idea of having him make slushies. Dominic persuades the demon of Mel's power by revealing that even he was tricked into signing a contract with her. Mel sighs as she listens to them, and then learns that the devil has only 30 minutes left because Dominic only knows how to seal them, not release them, as this will require a large amount of mana. Say goodbye to the infinite ice supply. She then discovers that his sword has 4 demons living in it, and Winter Moon is the weakest. The demon thinks she'll exterminate him and finds her eyes really scary, lol. She doesn't have much time, so she orders the demon to produce a lot of ice that doesn't melt. The poor demon is exhausted from his task and would prefer to return to the sword. He starts to get teary and thinks of her as a demonic human. As per her instructions, the devil creates ice that will only melt once it enters the body, allowing her to generate slush. She wants him to try it as a reward, which he refuses, but then falls in love with. He calls it a revolution and demands more when, poof, he's gone. 30 minutes have already passed. I'm hoping we'll meet our slushy machine again soon. She then wakes up the young kid and serves him a slush, which he heartily enjoys. And after drinking it, his heart continues to race, making him believe he's in love with Mel, which she simply finds adorable. She walks him to the carriage, and the kid cheerfully promises to promote her stationery shop and will return once it's officially opened. She gives him a bottle of slush to take home and share with his sibling before he leaves. Mel's letter to the Duke requesting to dissolve their engagement has finally reached him. He suddenly recalls that it was his father's dream for him to marry Mel because her blood is not cursed, but has been endowed with dragon's power. Dominic, being the heir of Kinnoa's blood, possesses tremendous potential, and her children will undoubtedly inherit the dragon's might, making them the strongest on the continent. Before he died, his father told him to get married and keep Mel under his control. He dismisses the letter but is surprised when it arrives with a warning that Mel intends to publicize him as an adulterer if he does not cooperate with her request, making him furious. Just then, his sister Marisa, who was born as a result of an affair and despises adultery, confronts him to see if he indeed cheated on Mel. Of course, he denies it, but this young girl knows that having a nice relationship with someone other than Mel is considered cheating, and she leaves disappointed in her brother. Meanwhile, her father has received Mel's letter confirming that she is truly going, and that he has to acknowledge that she is no longer the Babiola family's daughter. Her father is frustrated, not because his own daughter is leaving him, but because this will undoubtedly harm his reputation. And her stepmother believes she will simply return kneeling to them. You wish. Lady Hildegarde suggests to the Duke that he accept Mel's request just to scare her. There's almost no incidents of nobles breaking ties with their families, and most of them drop their confessions within the 4-week adjustment period, which she feels Mel will do as well. But in reality, she wants Mel to bring this to court so she can be removed from the family and be replaced by her own daughter, Sharia. Duke Basil agrees with her. Thus, they will submit Mel's application to cut ties to the royal family and send Mel a letter accepting her request. So Mel is overjoyed to receive the letter from her father, but Dominic has questions as to why the Duke has not yet sent her a letter. Well, he probably doesn't want to break their engagement, but it doesn't matter now because their engagement will be null and void once she becomes a commoner. Nobles and commoners cannot marry under their law, and she cannot wait for it to happen. They are too preoccupied with their conversation to notice that the house is finally done being remodeled. Now that her house looks like a shop, the two settle down on a bench outside, and Dominic listens as she mumbles about how she wants to recruit more chefs, sell more chocolate, and if possible, bring in a wizard or an alchemist to create more amazing goodies. Dominic warns her that finding an alchemist is not easy, but our girl is so determined that she bought a 1,000-year-old sword, so how difficult could it be to bring a mage and an alchemist? He laughs at her, but agrees, and that's not it. She wants to work with demons in his sword as well. So to make that happen, the two start to make Dalgona candies for their opening tomorrow. She doesn't have much money to make a grand opening, but she's confident that their shop will someday be full of happy memories. So pure. We must protect. At that time, in the Magic Tower, Remus reports to the Magic Tower's owner Isaac that several magic artifacts, including a mana box, have been stolen. Rasmus has 3 suspects: Earl Ellie, whose mana flow has become strange, Duke Hessman, who is experimenting with magic, and Lady Meldonic Babeloa, whom he finds most suspicious. He's done some research on her and believes her stationery shop is doing unusual magic. As you may have guessed, Isaac is the man Mel pointed out while arguing with Hessman at the Capitol. And he does find her mana special, so he decides to investigate her himself. That little boy Meldonic helped is Axion, the Crown Prince's brother, who runs excitedly to tell him that he has found the woman he wants to marry. The Crown Prince inquires about the girl's age and discovers that she is much older than Axion, a commoner, and even wishes to sell him stuff. The Crown Prince suspects Mel is either a scammer or a spy, and is now concerned about his brother's safety. Axion hands him his birthday gift and gives him the grape juice made from unmeltable ice that Mel gave him, which raises his suspicion since it's not easy for a commoner to obtain ice. He likes the slush and intends to visit Mel, but their chat is cut short when Duke Hessman arrives, proposing a business deal. Axion leaves quickly since he dislikes the Duke. This gives him more reason to look into Mel, as he knows his brother is very picky about who he plays with. Duke Hessman is working on a project for children and gives the Crown Prince, Cassian, a perfume sample and a fountain pen. It is a work of art with precious stones that distinguishes it from other pens on the market, but the prince believes it is too much for the children. Hessman wants him to invest, explaining their real target is the children's parents, and he plans to collaborate with Lady Hildegarde and Lady Sharia, making his project fail-proof. Hessman is an outstanding businessman, and even small businesses have gone out of business because of him. But before he accepts his proposal, he wants to know if he's really having an affair with Sharia. He then advises him to avoid the lady since he is already engaged to Lady Meldonic, which icks the Duke, who tells him not to worry since it's their family issue. Because of his foul attitude, the prince decides not to invest in his project, while the Duke considers it a loss for the royal family since they may profit from it. Meanwhile, the stationery store is deserted today, so the two plan to develop a new item, and Mel thinks beer candies should be an amazing addition to the shop. Since kids are always seeing their parents drink, it makes sense that they should be able to enjoy a candy version of beer. Dominic thinks he can do it with magic, but needs to learn the brewing process from an expert. Mel approaches one of her neighboring merchants that day and introduces herself, promoting her newly opened stationery shop. The other girl identifies herself as Lily, and she works at Lessa's Tavern, the place where people drink, and just exactly what Mel's been looking for, so she's really excited to meet the owner. The next day, Mel presents her idea to Lessa, who believes children will enjoy it but will be unable to help because she already decided to close her tavern. Lily explains that there's a dangerous group known as the Red Priest Pirates, who will harm small businesses if they are unable to pay them a large payment. and rumor has it that a powerful individual is the group's sponsor. While they're still talking, someone bangs on the door and yells for them to open it. Lessa and Lily panic and send Dominic to hide so they do not become involved in the matter. One of the gang members dares to slap Lily, prompting Dominic to rush to their aid. They laughed it off, since who would imagine a petite girl like her could injure them? Mel will have the final laugh, as Dominic has given her temporary access to his power. Now she can see their every move without fear of being harmed. Bring it on, idiots! She asks if they have some cash on hand, and with a mocking face, they tell her that they have a lot. Well, that's music to Mel's ears, and she starts to deal with them one by one and is so happy to confiscate all the cash they have. She's so into her thing that she doesn't notice all the people that surround her after Lily asks for help from the neighbors. Their eyes sparkle with awe at how she handled those thugs, and they praise her as a warrior of justice. When one man begins questioning her about what happened, she notices the reporter's badge on his chest and uses the opportunity to promote her stationery shop, counting on him to write a positive article about it. After that, she notices Lessa in the crowd and asks if she wants to try the project together. Lessa agrees, and adds that she is willing to do whatever she can to help her. The crowd still talks about the effect of what Dominic just did to their place, while the reporter secretly thanks her for awakening his sense of calling as a journalist and decides to document it. Dominic and Dominic try to make beer candies, but he has no control over his power, and it could take months for him to learn how to control it. Mel decides to cook the candies on her own, and Dominic agrees if she uses basic magic on them. However, he is shocked when she reveals that she does not have magic because of the curse in her family that caused her to be born without mana, the same reason she was not accepted to the academy. Dominic disagrees and said that if that was the case, she wouldn't have been able to absorb his mana earlier, and to prove it, he offers to test it. When Dominic begins his mana test by having Dominic identify the color of lights on his hand, she sees just white, proving that her mana is pure. He elaborates, telling her that she may not for the role of the wizard because the mana she possesses comes from human life, and she may be better suited to the role of alchemist. An alchemist can build anything out of nothing, and she can even summon Winter Moon Demon, but she will require pure mana to do so. Then, she recalls that only Isaac can do alchemy with pure mana, but no one knows where he is. Not to worry, our over-optimistic Mel is driven to improve her skills, and she has Dominic who believes in her and is ready to help her. And to put her mana to the test, they begin to produce their beer candies, which they successfully completed. But she then exhausts her mana to the limit. He attempts to eat one candy while relaxing, but when he talks, they find his voice odd and remember he put some magic on it when he got bored earlier. He thinks it's cool that his voice changes for a moment and thinks the kids will enjoy it. They stare at one another for a moment before going insane with their newfound idea to include a simple magic trick that modifies their voice in the beer candy. Our tall, dark, and handsome Isaac is preparing to meet Mel with the help of Henry, believing that it will be easier to interact with her since she is friendly towards children. Henry, at the age of 5, is a genius and enthusiastically thinks investigating Mel is his first mission. Henry greets and bows to Mel in a cute way to get her attention, and so she kneels in front of him to bring them to the same height, which is part of his plan so he can hold her and secretly gauge her level of magic. She asks his name and if he enjoys studying before digging through her bag for something to offer him, and she chooses a pencil case with an ancient word written on it. The truth will set you free, which he really likes. Mel is such a child tamer that Henry begins to think she might be a good person, but he wonders why she knows him, and Mel teases him about her ability to know what every child wants, causing him to fear and assume she'll pose a threat to children. He runs towards Isaac, whom Mel believes is Henry's father. He presents himself as the guardian, and she hands him the pencil case for Henry and the beer candy for them to try. When he holds her hand, she feels something unusual but ignores it, while Isaac is also aware of a weird mana flow that he believes is related to Kinnoa bloodline. She enthusiastically promotes her stationery store and wishes them farewell. Isaac resolves to keep up the father and son act and asks Henry to call him Dad. Cutie. Then get taken aback when Henry asks him who would be his mother. Men who are good with kids are so attractive. She's returned after forming a partnership with the tavern's owner, but Dominic has even better news for her. Her recent activities have been featured in a newspaper. She immediately reads the article about how she defeated 17 Red Priest pirates on her own, and there's even a section for witnesses who praised her as a hero. Not only that, but the reporter didn't forget to promote her shop, stating how she's selling a variety of kid-friendly things such as candy that can change your voice and her non-melting slush. Both of them are so proud, but then she realizes that the Duke and her father will definitely hear about it. Not to worry, Dominic has already taken care of it. Since he brainwashed her stalkers, he also injected them with stories about her doing insane things and just wasting money. And both houses will undoubtedly accept their spies' reports rather than the article. The newspaper reaches the Academy students who are curious about the stationery store but reluctant to enter because it is a commoner shop and they believe it is impossible for commoners to produce such amazing goods. Axion hears the news and reads the article about Mel beating the Red Priest pirates who had previously bullied him and believes she did it for him. He begins to imagine Mel as a cool knight until a transferred student requests to accompany him to the shop. He is Karat, a child wizard secretly sent by the Magic Tower to prevent the kidnapping of the Academy's students. Karat actually finds the shop suspicious and suspects Mel is a child kidnapper. And because Axiom recalls Mel telling him to bring friends, he agrees to go with him. Cassian quickly gets a letter from his brother telling him that he'll be going to see the woman of his dreams, Mel, and he wants Cassian to join him at the shop. Cassian can no longer delay and must find out about the suspicious commoner before something bad happens. The Emperor actually has 8 children, and sadly, most of them died of unknown diseases, leaving only the 2 of them, which is why he's so protective of Axion. Axion arrives at the stationery shop, and this time, he introduces himself to Mel and his friend Karat. Mel is so happy and welcomes them warmly in her shop. Karat starts his observation and senses more power from Dominic while he thinks Axion is under a love potion as he keeps acting weird. Axion discovers a soap bubble she's selling and Mel reveals that it's one of her experiments, which Karat interprets as an evil experiment. Don't worry, you will love her. He then plans to use his magic if things go bad. They move outdoors while the young wizard prepares to counter, until Mel blows the bubbles. The prince pops the bubbles, which transform into a lovely flower and begin to have fun. She knows Karat is wary of her, so she asks him to try the bubble blower himself, which he agrees to do to see if it's really safe. He plays with it and soon begins to feel strange, as if he's in a dream. He then lets down his guard and becomes a child again, simply enjoying the bubbles. This is really wholesome. He doesn't even know he's finished the whole bottle of bubbles until Mel asks him if he likes it. He tries to convince himself that it's not fun when his mouth says otherwise, wanting to do it again. It's okay to have fun, Karat. She smiles at him and invites him to drink slushies, but this time he's determined to not drink anything from her shop, or he'll end up like Axion. In the end, he fails and enjoys it. Cutie. Axion believes it is much better for her to marry his brother instead of him when, speaking of the devil, his brother Cassian arrives. They actually know each other, and that is when she realizes Axion is actually the youngest prince. They settle down and sit together while Axion innocently shares that Mel saved him before, making her appear suspicious as if she's using the young prince to gain his favor. This is when Cassian asks her about her intention of building a shop and helping his brother. In the novel, Prince Cassian ascended to the throne with the help of his childhood friend and her enemy, Duke Hessman. He is also supposed to be the wisest of all nobles and to fall in love with Sharia, so Mel wishes to avoid becoming involved with him. It does not matter if he believes her or not, but she just honestly tells him it is her dream to start a small business where she can make children happy. However, the prince warns her that she would be unable to run a normal shop because certain others see her as their enemy. She then uses this chance to ask if she also needs to consider him as one of them, which the prince denies, making her smile in relief. Before they leave her store, she gives them an entire pack of beer candies to share with their friends. And since the crown prince himself visits the shop, she also prepares something for him. According to the novel, Cassian suffered nightmares after his nanny died and after his siblings died of strange causes. No one actually knows the reason behind their deaths, and she believes it's just the setting the author gives Cassian. He is then comforted by Sharia, which sparks his crush on her. But this time, she intends to establish a good connection with him and be the first to give him a gift. A dream catcher to help him have better dreams. It has a spell on it, and she lies about hiring a mage to do it, but the prince immediately recognizes it as hers and Dominic's. He gratefully receives her present and cannot believe she's the same girl who was rumored to be talentless. Our sweet Axion did not forget to give the candy to his classmates, and they absolutely love it. On the other side, Marisa has heard Axion and Karat's chat and is convinced that Mel is the Dominic she knows, but she thinks Mel hates her since she's the Duke's sister. Axion's advertising has brought Academy students to her store. Yay! But these kids have had enough of the beer candies. Thankfully, Mel and Dominic have prepared something they surely will enjoy. Candy that changes the color of the tongue. She can't contain her joy once the kids leave, and she hugs Dominic, but he swiftly lets go, explaining that he has sworn to God his premarital celibacy. She is baffled by his reaction and assures him that their embrace was nothing more than a friendly gesture, and he can live a pure life forever. But this gets cut short when a covered-up Academy student walks into their shop. The kid offers her an apple that symbolizes an apology, and in return, Mel sweetly gives her a dalgona candy. She then removes her hood and introduces herself as Marisa. The poor baby felt the need to apologize on her brother's behalf. Unlike her brother, she was raised nicely. Marisa actually monitors her from the outside and notices how gentle she is with children. But before Mel can say anything, she quickly leaves. Meanwhile, her brother, Duke Hessman, is hosting a banquet at which nobles congratulate him for having a massive magical stone tree in his yard, and are fascinated after discovering that the Duke is seeking to contact several kingdoms. The Duke truly wants to establish contact with the Magic Kingdom, which is home to various races with strong talents, but they are known to be wary of outsiders. Plus, he wants to get his hands on the great hero's sword. Sorry, but the hero is already happy taking care of Mel's shop. After obtaining all these, he will be the perfect man, and he plans to claim the throne as emperor. Duke Hessman then learns that Duke Babiloa has already submitted the expulsion of Mel, but he adds that he will naturally cancel it and is simply a punishment for his daughter. Hessman thinks it wouldn't be hard for him to shake the emperor himself if it went to trial, so he didn't worry about it. After that, Mel's father heard that she was starting a small business and wants to check it out for himself. Her father now wants her back, but Lady Hildegarde wants otherwise. She throws a tea party, which is the most effective way to spread rumors, and tells the ladies that they are intending to launch a children's business with Duke Hessman. She even shares Mel's business, pretending to be concerned and planning to involve Sharia's support in operating it. Back at the stationery shop, Prince Cassian knocks on her door, showing her the flyers going around. She hurriedly thanks him and heads to the construction site where Lady Hildegarde planned to create a general store for noble children, barely 10 minutes from her own shop. She then meets Duke Hessman on the site, who mocks her small shop and advises her to return home. He certainly did not listen to her warning, and now she intends to spread the truth about him cheating with her sister. But he, like all other cheaters, denies having an affair. He then gives her a valuable jewel to silence her, but this only makes her hate him more. He has gotten incredibly obnoxious and claims no one would believe her even if she spread rumors. And just as the tension between them rises, Marisa rushes to Mel's rescue. Marisa, the adorable little girl, despises her brother, and since she is an illegitimate child herself, this could be the reason she supports Mel. However, Mel has no intention of ever using a child as an advantage in their fight, and it appears that Hessman does as well, so he quits being aggressive. Marisa refuses to stop calling her brother dirty, threatening him, and then storming off with Mel. When they return to the store, the entire gang is already there, chugging slush. Marisa quickly consoles Mel and plans to find her a suitable husband, which Karat and Axion find confusing. So she angrily exposes how her own brother is having an affair and attempting to damage Mel's business, enraging the kids. Even Dominic is ready to kill him, and Cassian is the only one who is silent. So Marisa questions the Crown Prince about it, and it appears that he too is on Mel's side. Mel just looks at Marisa, being adorable as she begins to announce her operation to find Mel an ideal husband, with Karat and Axion as her squad members. Looks like she's having her own little rescue club, which is really, really cute. Mel's little matchmakers are now having a meeting, and only Karat has no husband candidate for her yet. Inside his room, he receives a letter from Isaac letting him know he will be visiting him. And that's when he realizes his master fits all the qualifications they are looking for in a candidate. He can already see how wonderful it would be if things between the two adults go well. So he quickly writes back that he wants to introduce him to his friend Mel. Isaac receives Karat's letter regarding Mel and smiles unconsciously, making Rasmus tease him. Rasmus is very suspicious of Mel since little Henry starts acting weird and wants to see her again. Henry has officially joined Mel's little club, and even Isaac thinks she's cute too. The two then talk about the thief, and Isaac is now certain it's not Mel, but he did feel both demon and dragon energy in her. And as the stolen vessel was blessed by a dragon, he instructs Rasmus to properly incubate the dragon egg so that when it hatches, they can use it to track down the thief. He's really curious about Mel, so he writes back to Karat and agrees to meet her. Alley merchants gather in front of Meldenic's stationery store, and they are all worried since someone is building a children's store near hers. They surprised her with a stack of petition letters that could delay the store's opening by around 15 days. They still don't know she's Duke Babiloa's daughter, and the papers aren't signed anonymously, making it simple for the Duke to target them. Yet they did it for her sake. She's so touched by their help that she doesn't want to clear up the misunderstanding, so instead, she bows and expresses her gratitude. She understands the petition will have little effect because the authorities will be on the noble side, but she swears to herself not to waste their genuine help. Her little squad enters her store, informing her how to win against the Duke since Marisa found out her brother will be sponsoring something on Petite Debutant Day, the biggest annual event held for Academy children, where they share the most precious things or food to show off their status. The squad decides to bring Mel and have her bring cool stuff so they can promote her store during the event. But sadly, Karat can't participate since commoners are not invited. And to make him feel better, Mel promises to make him something, then hugs her cute babies. And so to start the plan, she takes note of things they like: cotton blanket, sword, and ice cake. After they go, Mel decides to make something cloud-related, which Dominic doesn't understand, but we all know. On a more serious note, Dominic has captured one of the spies to get information on them, and they find out that Hildegarde and Viscount Tellin are preparing something for the event. Tellin is a crazy wizard who's under the Duchess after she saved him before. Of course, Mel and Dominic will not let them harm the kids. Not on their watch. It has been said that Viscount Tellin, who will be attending the event, has produced a vision stone that can enhance the children's learning abilities, but it can also trigger nightmares. The news reaches Mel, who begins planning a counter with the help of a demon she can only summon for 3 seconds. The debutante day has come, and the mothers are amazed at how wealthy Duke Hessman must be to sponsor the event. They then divert their attention to the Duke's younger sister, imagining their children marrying her. As if Marisa can't hear them! Gosh! Axion and Marisa are patiently waiting for Mel to show up. Marisa even prepared a flower for her, but when she hasn't appeared yet and it's their turn to present their item, they start to worry until the door opens and Mel comes in. The room gets noisy as nobles begin to talk badly about Mel, while Hildegarde is taken off guard, wondering what she's up to now. The atmosphere shifts when Mel, who looks stunning in green, walks in while Marisa and Axion can't stop complimenting her. After she receives Marisa's flower, it's time for everyone to witness her special treat. She notices a table full of vision stones her stepmother brought with her. However, this is no match for her creation, which will surely catch the children's attention. Marisa and Axion excitedly introduce Mel to everyone while she displays the cotton candy she created, and the two children begin to share it with the other students. The Viscount approaches her and thinks her creation is basic, which Mel finds offensive since it is for the kids. However, he is unaware that she has already done something to the vision stones in just 3 seconds, exactly as she had planned. The children enjoy it as expected, as does the chairman, who soon begins to see a serene-like vision after taking a bite. Mel reveals that, unlike the vision stones, it can boost mana and give lovely dreams, putting Hildegarde and Tellin at a disadvantage. In addition, she brags that she produces them using basic alchemy. Meanwhile, one girl named Alia gets demotivated since no one cares about the postcard she made until Axion gives her the cotton candy. She takes a bite and begins to recall a moment when she first received encouragement for her painting. This makes her feel good about herself and motivates her to meet new friends. The influence Mel is giving to these kids is so wholesome. The Viscount suspects Mel is lying, but our young prince here backs her. So they double-checked and discovered that it can indeed boost mana. Some kids want to know what the candy's name is, but she hasn't actually given it one. So Marisa officially named it Candy in a Happy Dream, which fits perfectly. At that point, nobles begin to believe in her alchemy ability, and her title as Cursed Blood is removed. Tellin's vision stone is then tested, but it has no effect after being touched. Everyone is disappointed and starts canceling their deal with his stones. while Hildegarde does nothing to help him and even places him under house arrest. To tell you what actually happened, Dominic suggests that Mel use a commutative contract with the sword demons. She needs to give what the demon wants, and it will do the same for her, of course, using her cutie mana. He then summons the Springflower demon and agrees to have a contract with her in exchange for a slushie. Remembered the 3 seconds earlier? It was the demon extracting the magic from the stones. The next day, Mel finds Talon in a coma after attempting to poison himself. So they decide to temporarily put him in the sword since they can use him to testify against Hildegarde in the future. Furthermore, she receives an invitation to Sophia Academy's ball from Mudsella Maxson. She's really excited since it's a prominent women's school and she'll definitely be able to attract customers through the ball. But she doesn't have an escort. Dominic can't, as his identity is still a secret, until Karat comes to her rescue. Even after 10 minutes, our cute Karat is still not talking, so Mel gives him the promised gift, a plastic sword that becomes shorter when pierced, and reveals that she will be attending a ball but will be alone, so she invites Karat to be her escort. This gives Karat the perfect way to start introducing his master and have him her partner, which Mel accepts. Before he goes, he asks her if cheater Hessman has ever taken her on a date or even given her gifts. Then she remembers the strange-looking necklace the Duke gave her before, which she immediately threw away. Karat promises to bring his master and a present tomorrow, but blushes when Mel tells him simply that he is the gift she needs. Isaac gets a letter from Karat informing him that Mel needs an escort and that this is their chance to become closer. Rasmus then reports that Duke Hessman is acting weird lately and has been trailing Lady Mel. Isaac believes there is a chance Hessman will attend the ball for Mel, so he decides to accept Karat's suggestion and will catch the thief there. So Mel meets Karat and our charming Isaac the following day. Mel truly believes he is Henry's father as he introduces himself as Matthew, and Karat proudly comments that Matthew is single. He is willing to be her partner at the party and informs her that he is an earl doing research, something our girl wants to confirm. He notices how wary she is, so he offers to show her identification, which puts her at ease. She then finds him really handsome now that she looks at him, and learns that he actually wants to catch a thief who stole his stuff at the upcoming party. Meanwhile, Duke Babiloa gets really angry after Lady Hildegarde loses to Mel and fails to double the money they used for the vision stones. The lady phones Sharia and is reassured that they don't need to worry because Mel would undoubtedly die because she bears the dragon's mark. Hildegarde, though, is starting to feel nervous and would like the expulsion trial to move forward quickly. The day has come and Mel dresses up in a gorgeous blue gown for the party. And to begin her celebration, she receives a letter informing her that the trial has been moved forward. Just then, an unknown carriage arrives and she finds they are her father's people, whom she has no interest in meeting. She is being very unladylike as she sits on her outdoor bench and orders them to say anything they want after she didn't invite them in. They hand her a letter from the Duke, but reading it is a waste of time, and she knows he's telling her to go back to him, so she rips it up in front of them and tells them to leave while smiling sinisterly. Such a baddie. They keep pestering her until Matthew arrives to get her. Look at their visuals! Mel wants them to tell the Duke he can talk to her directly, but she wants him to know she's not the same daughter he knew. Now that they're in the carriage, Mel thinks he's a good guy for not asking her about her family, and to break the silence, she asks if he regularly attends parties. Today's theme is masquerade, so she gives him the mask she prepared for him and wears her own mask. And when Matthew naturally arranges her hair, she realizes she's getting strangely comfortable with him. When they arrive, she is happy to meet Mudsella, who returns her greeting. But the lady's mood suddenly changes, seeing that Mel's escort is not her fiancé, Duke Hessman. Mel almost forgot the lady is sensitive to cheating since her former fiancé cheated as well. She remembers how, in the novel, she is the only one to publicly condemn the relationship between Hessman and Sharia, while everyone else welcomes it. She simply introduces Matthew as an acquaintance, and the dance begins just in time. She is surprised at how good at dancing Matthew is for someone who does not attend parties, but their moments are cut short when she becomes embarrassed for stomping on his shoe. Just then, a terrified lady approaches her and invites her for a walk, despite Matthew's efforts to keep her away. She believes the lady is friendly, but as they get to the garden, a man shoves her and she realizes it's Lennox Hessman who is waiting for her. Clearly, the Duke is not here just for a chat, and after noticing she's not wearing the necklace he gave her, he suspects this is why Kinnoa's ability is manifesting in her. He then creates a subspace barrier to ensure that no one can hear them, and he intends to kill her right now since he can no longer tame her and have a kid with her. This jerk begins strangling Mel, who has no idea what he's saying. But our girl didn't show up unprepared to this party, and she remembers Dominic's advice to kick it when she's in danger, causing the Duke to fall to his knees. Yay! Hoping he won't have kids after this. While she waits for Dominic to finish trying to breach the subspace, she manages to trigger Hessman, making him admit that Sharia is his lover. Just the perfect time for Dominic to break the barrier and find themselves back in the mansion where all the nobles heard him confess. Matthew gives his coat to Mel and looks at Hessman with disgust. She then apologizes to Mudsella for ruining the ball, but the lady supports her and thinks the Duke can die. Mel has now earned another friend while Hessman is still losing his sanity while kneeling in front of everyone. Matthew and Mel leave the party and are now back in the carriage. Rather than worrying about the bruises on her neck, she wonders if he did find the thief. He did, and the culprit was none other than the Duke. He sensed the mana vessel pouring through the subspace, but he was unable to find the vessel itself, which could have served as clear evidence to punish him. He intends to make the Duke pay for his crimes, but tonight, he has achieved his goal of identifying the thief. However, something bothers him and becomes agitated when he sees Mel's bruise. Matthew admits that he planned to save her earlier, but assumed she had already established a plan, so he only monitored her. While Mel quickly denies having any plan and claims it was all a coincidence. He is disappointed that she is unlikely to open up to him and thinks he will not have another chance to grow close to her after tonight. So, before it's too late, our guy musters the courage to admit he's worried about her, hopes she won't hurt herself again, and then reveals his real identity. Isaac Matthew Reinhold, the Magic Tower Master. She is still stunned, but she is able to probe him further until she discovers that both Henry and Karat are Magic Tower wizards. When she runs out of questions, she discovers the most essential detail. He is an alchemist. She requests that he teach her alchemy, which Isaac willingly agrees to do in exchange for his involvement in her revenge. She finds that the thief he's looking for is actually Duke Hessman. Therefore, they share one enemy. In the novel, Isaac went missing after trying to kill the Duke and was labeled as a villain, so this time, she wants to establish a rule between them, which is to really work together when dealing with the Duke. He agrees and gives her a bird as their messenger. Meanwhile, Hessman leaves the party humiliated and plans to take revenge by using the mana vessel. Sharia contacts Lennox and he calms down, telling her how excited he is for them to marry. He knows she's the best person who can bring Mel down. Then, he notices something in her background. She can't share much, but says it's an item related to Mel's curse. She invites him to meet her in the Holy Nation, which he agrees to since they can return after Mel's expulsion trial ends and kill her with the mana vessel. Meanwhile, Mudsella and her circle mates have successfully spread Duke Hessman's cheating issue at her school and start praying for Mel's well-being. Yes, new allies! Lady Mudsella, who is also a member of the pro-Emperor faction, is actually the leader of the Retro Circle, the most secretive and prestigious circle of antique enthusiasts at their school. Mel is commissioned by Retro Circle to create an item that can store memories and is exclusively available to them. Then, Dominic hands her the expulsion letter that is finally going to happen tomorrow when Axion storms into her store since she requested if she could meet his father, the Majesty. She assumed it wouldn't be simple, but Axion just casually invited her to the royal family gathering today. He then notices the expulsion letter and comforts her, saying he doesn't care if she's noble or not, and confidently asks her to wait 20 years until he becomes a Grand Duke so he can bestow her title back. Mel is really grateful for this innocent ball of sunshine. She still has enough time and plans to give the Emperor a gift. She learns from Axion that the Emperor loves healthy and sweet foods, and Axion decides to leave for a while so she can start making them. They arrive at the Imperial Palace that night, and while the Emperor is still working, they decide to play first when they run into Prince Cassian. Since he is Axion's candidate, he asks his brother to join them for the luck of the draw Mel has prepared. Mel explains her draw board, where each paper costs money, and warns that they need to carefully pick as the paper contains a price or nothing. After how many tries, Axion gets lucky and picks a paper with a teddy bear prize. He then asks his brother to play, and Mel is surprised that the prince is actually waiting. The villainess has introduced gacha to the novel world and will make everyone addicted to it. Cassian has picked nothing but duds and is beginning to doubt her game. Well, actually, Mel did manipulate the game so Axion could get the teddy bear. They start to argue silently, but in Axian's eyes, it's quite romantic. She understands that our sweet Axian is acting out of concern, so she gently explains that they don't need to be related to play together every day, and she reassures Axian that she will grow close to Cassian, not out of romantic interest, but because they both adore him. However, looks like her words are hurting Cassian. Who knows? I'm not sure. Just then, the Emperor arrives, and she is clearly not in his good graces because she is the daughter of Duke Babeloa. In this novel, the imperial family is actually weaker, and after the Emperor's children died, he rarely made official appearances. At the same time, the nobles led by Duke Hessman and Babeloa ruled the market. To ease the tension, she gives the Emperor her gift, which both princes guarantee will be to his liking. She recalls Sharia giving him a unique bird in the novel, but she has prepared a handmade herb caramel instead. She goes near the Emperor, whispering the benefits of the caramel, including the secret ingredient she added, Salian, that boosts stamina. Thanks to Dominic, who came up with the idea since he knows that middle-aged men want to increase their stamina. And luckily, he had in his sword the key ingredient, Salian roots, for 1,000 years, making it the rarest of the rare. She passionately describes its effectiveness, and the Emperor begins to warm up to her and starts to feel nostalgic as he remembers his childhood days of eating sweets. The Emperor loves her gift in many ways and wishes to grant whatever she desires. Finally, Mel has been waiting for this, the gift law. When a noble presents a gift to an imperial family, it is customary to repay them with a reward of similar value. In the novel, it was Sharia who benefited from this law, but not this time. She requested to speak with the Emperor alone. Mel gets a special session with the Emperor, but before Mel can say anything, he interrupts her since he already knows what she wants, and adds that while he loves the special caramel she gave him, she is asking for too much. Looks like the Emperor thinks there is something between her and Prince Cassian, and that she wishes to become the crown princess. Mel is surprised, but she quickly tells the Emperor that she isn't romantically connected with any of his sons, and that their relationship is based on respect, nothing more. The Emperor finds it odd and wonders what the reason for this meeting is. Mel says she's appealing because Duchess Babeloa has been illegally squeezing small business owners and the alleyway commercial sector. Mel approaches the Emperor for help preventing it, but he assumes she needs his aid with her business and claims it's impossible because he doesn't want to get involved in family matters. She informs him that her business can endure if it fails, but small business owners cannot, and she hands him the petition letters to study. While he reads the letters, Mel thinks the Emperor is smart and loves his people, so she's sure he'll care about the commoners. After learning the true position of the little traders, the Emperor is enraged and will take action if it is proven that the Duchess violated any law, which makes Mel happy. When the Emperor asks if there is anything else bothering her, Mel brings up her expulsion letter, and the Emperor assures her that she has nothing to worry about because it makes no sense to expel someone from the Duke's family who is of direct blood lineage. However, to the Emperor's surprise, Mel pleads for her expulsion and tells him that she'd like to leave the family of Babeloa. The Emperor cautions her that she would be in danger if she leaves her family, but she explains that she is not requesting a simple expulsion. Seeing that she's determined, the Emperor decides to continue talking to her. Meanwhile, Zion still hopes his brother and Mel will fall in love, so when she finishes talking to the Emperor, he tells her about the lake in the garden and convinces her to stroll with his brother since he has prepared something for the both of them. Mel feels bad rejecting the innocent kid, so she agrees, expecting Prince Cassian to turn down this plan. But it looks like her prediction is wrong since the prince gladly accepts Zion's mini-event for them. The two of them watch the lake together, and Mel talks about the legend that when two people stroll together by the lake, they'll become a couple. The prince laughs nervously, but is then subtly rejected by Mel when she claims that they will be the first to walk as friends. His eyes follow her as she enjoys the scenery and wonders how she can be so cheerful when she's about to get abandoned by her own family. He wants to know if she's happy when suddenly Zion starts his surprise event for them. And voila! Colorful confetti pours down on them. Mel chuckles, loving the show, and tells the prince brightly that she's really happy, especially after the expulsion tomorrow. This confuses the prince, who thinks she's a woman he'll be unable to understand. But he really hopes she'll continue to be happy. The whole moment is perfect, yet Mel's head is filled with nothing but excitement for her business. She wishes him happiness as well and hopes he'll continue to visit her stationery store. Our guy just got customer zoned. Mel is currently reading a book in which she discovers that a dragon's curse will cause your skin to discolor and infect your hands with a scaly skin disease. Then, she recalls that a customer once pointed out a black pattern on her hand, and according to the book, the black patterns that appear and disappear occur when the power of the dragon manifests. This leads her to wonder if the Kinnoas are really cursed or blessed, since there have been family members who have awakened their abilities thanks to the dragon. Dominic then asks why the Kinnoa are considered by everyone to be a cursed family, and he is informed that this is because they have all died. They either have no mana at all or die after a few months. She considers herself fortunate to have a friend like Prince Cassian, who offers her the book about the Kinnoa family ancestry that was in the Imperial Secret Library. He has read it and believes that the Marquis' estate was not cursed, and he asks her to check it herself. Mel is taken aback by the prince's sudden help, but the prince explains that although he cannot prevent her expulsion, he feels it is the least he can do for her as a friend. Finally, the expulsion is really happening. Mel's father is annoyed by the judge's explanation of the mechanics within the courtroom, but he has no idea that his wife has given the judge a substantial sum of money to permanently dispose of Mel. A boisterous crowd arises when the judge asks Lady Meldinic Babeloa if she has filed a counterclaim, and she replies boredly that she has not. This corrupt judge is convincing himself that he is doing justice by dismissing a noble lady for being wicked, and upon witnessing Mel's haughty demeanor, he concludes that she will not even reflect for the rest of her life. He wonders how evil Mel is since the Emperor approves of expelling her. When the judge reads the verdict that Mel is expelled, her father is surprised while she doesn't have any reaction on her face. Meanwhile, the crowd discusses her fate, but her father cannot process the truth that his daughter has been removed from their family and blames his wife, thinking that she planned all of this behind his back. But when he notices the crowd starting to talk about them, he rushes away and leaves. Hildegarde is happy about the verdict and asks her servants to go to the stationery store as planned and instructs them to spread the news as quickly as possible. From afar, the Emperor warns Meldinic that Hildegarde seems to be making her move already, which is exactly what she wants. News of her expulsion swiftly spread through the reporters Hildegarde had prepared, and when little Henry reads it, he yells as if the world is falling in front of him. Karat, who is still huffing, enters Henry's room and tells him his plan to help Mel with the Tower Master, while Rasmus is panicking and trying to convey what happened to Mel to Isaac. Rasmus doesn't understand why he isn't rushing over to Mel, but in Isaac's defense, Mel hasn't requested his assistance, and the bird he gave her has never flown back to him even once. He thinks she might be okay, or perhaps she has someone who is helping her, like Dominic. Imagining the two is really distracting him, but then again, since he is still not close with Mel, he should wait for her to contact him first, or else his help may come across as impolite. Little Henry enters his office, but is really shy to tell him something until Karat barges in and the two kids start to argue. Isaac is convinced that the kids have caused yet another accident, but in reality, they only want the three of them to console Mel after she was disowned by her family. Such cuties. Isaac explains that it is rude to interfere when Mel seems to have plans on her own, but little Henry notices him holding the paper upside down and even crumpling it. Isaac finally admits he's really worried about Mel, to the point that he can't hide his emotions from the kids. He stands up and agrees with the kids to pay Mel a visit, and the three of them leave his office hand in hand. I love that he adores children as much as Mel does. Meanwhile, after Mel returns home, she finds her stationery store in ruins. She and Dominic had already expected this, but she never thought it would be to this extent. She starts having flashbacks to her traumatic experience when Hildegarde would threaten to destroy anything she ever built. But unlike her former self, she will never let Hildegarde get away with it this time. Now that Mel is a commoner, the Duchess isn't scared to treat her like one. But Mel is unfazed by this and even confronts her to compensate for the harm she's caused. Hildegarde laughs at her and orders her to step aside, but Mel slaps her hand away, revealing a document with the Emperor's seal on it. Hildegarde takes the certificate from her and feels it's a forgery. But when she reads it, she is surprised to see that Mel is now Meldinic Eve Kinnoa, the 14th Marquis. She finally realizes this is the reason she met with the Emperor, and so this time, noble to noble, she demands the Duchess compensate her for the damages. Yes, a girl with a plan! The Kinnoa family is a family of wizards who are said to be cursed by a dragon, and they once belonged to the prosperous side of the nobles, thanks to those members who had awakened their special abilities. But all that changed when Mel's mother, the last surviving member of the family, passed away. Much of their property and money have been taken over by the Babeloas, and no one in the Kinnoa family has dared to revive the honor of their name since they all went into hiding. During Mel's private meeting with the Emperor, she actually requested that he let her take the title of Marquis Kinnoa after she leaves the Babeloa line. Of course, our girl isn't letting herself get disowned by her own family without a plan. Concerned about the impact of her sudden decision, the Emperor pointed out that the Kinnoa family's last remaining assets are just a mountain of rubble, and that all of the family members responsible for managing them have disappeared. Mel is aware of this, and she gazes at the Emperor with such resolve that the Emperor begins to feel her determination to rebuild the family. While it is within Duchess Hildegarde's purview as an evil noble to seize the property of commoners, it is against the law for her to do so against another noble. Mel, who now holds the position of Marchioness, will take the legal action and bring her to court. And in case this evil stepmother forgot, Mel also reminds her to address her properly as Marquise Kinnoa. She is aware that Hildegarde would receive a low sentence, but she plans to punish her nonetheless by having her spend her days in jail, which will severely wound Hildegarde's dignity. But since she didn't go to an academy, the Duchess looks down on Mel and dares Mel to put her on trial if she can. It looks like Hildegarde hasn't fully grasped the situation yet, so Mel informs her that she plans to make a direct petition to Duke Babeloa, who is already upset with how she runs business. And if he finds out Hildegarde is violating any aristocratic law, there's a big chance that he will throw her away. Dominic then arrives with exciting news. The illegal demolition of her store has also been recorded, and there are numerous witnesses as well, putting Hildegarde in a bind. The Duchess leaves upset, but with the pendant containing an illusion stone she stole from the store without knowing that Mel and Dominic have hidden it there as bait. Mel predicts that she will take it and hopes she'll get the nightmares she deserves. Now in the carriage, Hildegarde holds the pendant and plans to use it as evidence against Mel for creating something suspicious, when suddenly her face begins to have weird markings. She starts to panic and recalls disturbing memories of her conversation with Mel's dying mother. Mel's mother is aware that Hildegarde is having an affair with her husband and shares that she knows she's not dying because of the dragon curse, but because she has been poisoning her food. Hildegarde is surprised that she is aware of this, but Mel's mother simply grins at her, content that she has done what she can, before leaving a warning for Hildegarde that she will die a horrible death, curses and all, if she does not stop her evil ways. Hildegarde then sees ancient writing on her neck that means death, which is making her lose her mind more. She starts having nightmares and screaming like a lunatic before walking out of the carriage, which Mel can see. Mel has no idea what's happening to the Duchess until Isaac freezes the time and cautions her not to approach Hildegarde, who has completely lost her mind. Mel is surprised to see Isaac again after a long time, but she's more concerned about what he knows about Hildegarde's condition. The illusion stone can usually make a person experience a terrible nightmare, but in Hildegarde's case, who has done so much evil, the illusion may swallow her mind to the point where symptoms may appear on her body and she won't be able to escape from it for a while. Then, Isaac comforts Mel by telling her that she doesn't have to feel guilty because Hildegarde deserves it, which puts her at ease and makes her thank Isaac. After witnessing Hildegarde go crazy, Mel is relieved at the thought of never having to deal with her again. The two of them are now sitting outside her wrecked store, and she wonders if Hildegarde will become dangerous to the people around her. Isaac explains that it's fine, but it's risky for Mel since Hildegarde holds a deep grudge against her. Then he suddenly shares that when he was 10 years old, he killed a serial killer who targeted children, and despite the fact that the man deserved it, he still felt strange about killing him. This is his way to comfort Mel since she might be feeling bad for what she did to Hildegarde, which she notices and believes he's really her ally. Her trouble with the Duchess may be over, but Duke Hessman is still around. She begins to worry about the forthcoming situation with the Duke when she notices Isaac has begun calling her nickname Mel, making him sweat. But to his surprise, she allows him to do so since they are now friends. The damage to her shop has clearly shaken Karat and Henry when they arrive. Karat then goes to Mel to check if she's hurt, and after knowing this is all because of her family, he starts to get really angry. Even Marissa got into trouble for making a cursed doll version of Hildegarde during class, and he proudly shares that he stopped the students from coming to her shop for a while in case she needed time after getting kicked out of the Babeloa family. I love seeing Karat finally letting his inner child out. Henry, seeing that Mel is preoccupied with Karat, leaps on her lap in an attempt to catch her attention, which makes Karat jealous and exposes that little Henry is not their master's son. The two kids start to argue, but Karat really wants Mel to know his master is single and wonders if she thinks Isaac is handsome. She agrees, and Karat seems so happy with her answer, while little Henry looks like he's about to cry. So Isaac stops Karat, though Mel notices Isaac's excitement written all over his face. Mel thinks that this is normal, considering that Dominic also enjoys hearing praise for his good looks. Dominic then arrives after washing up, and he clearly does not like Isaac. He's about to reveal his real identity when Mel stops him since she thinks it's too early for Isaac to know. Meanwhile, Prince Cassian receives a report regarding the illusion stone, and rumors say Viscount Tellin was the one who sent it to the Duchess. Due to the fact that the report claims Hildegarde was leaving Mel's store when she was cursed, Cassian is concerned that the case has some connection to Mel, so he orders the investigation to end. He realizes he made another exception for Mel and finds it weird that he's not even bothered by it. Prince Cassian then calls the Minister of Internal Affairs to schedule Mel's conferment ceremony in 2 weeks, which is shocking. While the man believes the prince is acting at Mel's request, the prince adds that this is really a beneficial move to divert public attention away from the reports concerning Duchess Hildegarde's curse. He claims that he's not that romantic, but the thought of seeing her during the ceremony is already making him happy. However, for Mel, the sudden conferment is causing her distress. It's great news that she'll finally be recognized as a marchioness, but there's one catch. Within 7 days of the ceremony's conclusion, she must appoint a manager to oversee her estate, or her new status will be nullified. She needs to find a Kinnoa family member who used to manage the Marquis' estate and ask them about the family curse as well. But she doesn't know how to find them. Plus, she can't leave the store for too long. Dominic agrees to find them, and in return, Mel agrees to give him a mountain once the territory gets bigger. He has one concern though, and that is leaving Mel alone. She has this unknown curse, and enemies might come while he's away, so he's really worried. Mel has never had a family, and Dominic is the first person who has been like a little brother to her, so all of these emotions are very new to her. She smiles sweetly and assures him she'll be fine. He's flattered when she considers him her closest aide, but his mood quickly turns sour when she says Isaac will be there to protect her so he doesn't have to worry while he's away. Dominic still doesn't like Isaac, but wants her to just use the handsome guy while he searches for her family, which Mel agrees with. She is fairly confident that she will not meet Isaac, who is undoubtedly very busy. Or so she thought. Isaac has been assisting her with the shop's restoration for days. Now that he has completely restored the first floor, they begin their alchemy training session. But before they learn how to use her abilities, they need to know more about her. She begins telling him about herself, though what he means is that they need to know more about her mana. But our guy isn't complaining and even wants to know more. She doesn't want to talk about money or her numerous store ideas, and starts showing him a finger heart, stating it's all she has. Isaac finds her adorable and begins to chuckle, but he can't help but wonder if the peculiar feelings he's having will go away as they grow closer. However, as she starts calling him handsome and master as nicknames, he starts giggling even more, acknowledging that his feelings will only become stronger. He then explains that the pure mana of an alchemist surrounds their hearts and flows like waves. But Mel's flow is entangled, which is why she can only use a little of her mana. Isaac holds her hand to help her with her mana flow, and she begins to feel the pure light, but at the same time, she feels like someone's squeezing her body. He notices her struggling and wants her to stop, but she's really persistent. As soon as she opens her eyes, her vision blurs. She begins to perspire heavily, and she passes out. Isaac believes a mana explosion knocked her out and caused the black marks to emerge on her body. Mel takes a seat, and then she collapses, this time on Isaac. As her breathing becomes increasingly difficult, she cries out for help, and Isaac immediately uses his powers to save her. After she gradually feels better while remaining on Isaac, he respectfully asks her to get down because of the awkwardness of their position, and our girl quickly jumps away. She can feel her mana increase, and Isaac chuckles since one training doesn't automatically result in an increase in mana. But Mel insists, so he touches her to measure her mana and is surprised to find that it really has increased, as if it was always there in her body. Her twisted mana is flowing correctly now, though he's unsure if this is permanent. Mel is relieved to hear her mana is increasing and is determined to rapidly advance her powers in order to be prepared to fight Sharia when she returns. This is necessary if they want revenge. Mel explains to Isaac, who is still confused, that Sharia and Hessman are together at the Holy Kingdom, and there are rumors that they are developing a new holy water and an item that they plan to distribute since they always do business together. And with the Pope's blessing, any scandal they will cause will be quickly buried. Mel recalls that in the original novel, the Holy Kingdom created holy water with special effects, which Sharia used to perform acts of kindness for the benefit of others without receiving anything. She intends to verify that object before it formally enters the Empire at the dark auction house, but since it's dangerous, Isaac agrees to come with her. They're both in disguise at the auction, and they pull it off really well. Mel overhears them talking about how well-spoken the auctioneer is and has the ability to sell anything, which makes her really curious. She is astounded by how the audience reacts to the auctioneer when it starts. They go crazy over every item he's selling, but Mel finds it really weird, as if everyone in the room is possessed. She then notices something on the auctioneer's arm, but chooses to ignore it, while the man has noticed her as well. The final item is the holy water that can cure all illnesses, the one that Mel is looking for. The crowd starts to bid, and they get surprised when our girl bids $1 million. However, the crowd outbids her, and she secretly sobs at the idea of bankruptcy just to buy the holy water. Isaac notices this, and so he bids $10 million casually, making everyone in the room look at him in awe. Mel freaks out, but Isaac assures her that it's all right since they're friends. The item is sold to them, and as they are talking on their way home, the auctioneer approaches them and asks their name. Mel recognizes him as the auctioneer and catches him inspecting her hand, but she quickly and openly corrects him, telling him it is against the rules to ask the identities of people coming to the auction house. The guy agrees and stutters while letting her know that they will meet again before rushing off. She finds it strange that he spoke so eloquently during the auction and is now stuttering, though she finds him attractive, prompting Isaac to react coldly. As soon as Mel mentions that the man annoys her, though, Isaac warms up again. They then return to her shop when she suddenly hears Dominic talking to her mind, updating her on his search for Kinnoa's direct ancestors. However, she is unable to hear him clearly and assumes that it is because they are too far apart, and she warns him to be careful on his return. Mel, realizing that Isaac might be curious about Dominic while he examines the holy water bottle, decides to bring up this subject with him and tell him that Dominic is on their side, but she cannot go into details about his identity. She is pleasantly surprised to find that Isaac understands her and is willing to wait for her to tell him. They are now examining the holy water, and it's weird that instead of sensing divine power from it, Isaac can somehow feel something similar to mana. He takes her hand as she begins to overthink and tells her not to worry too much since everything evil will surely be exposed in the end. Plus, he's confident he can find out if there's anything strange about the holy water. Upon taking a good look at him, she finds him really reliable and someone she can lean on. Then he pushes her to begin their training, saying that they have a lot to do and that it may be severe that day. Isaac doesn't stop her training until she's completely exhausted, at which point she accuses him of being an evil trainer. But she's happy that she was able to complete the retro circle request and hopes that they like it. Meanwhile, Lady Moodsella and her friends open Mel's package to find a locked diary. The diary is more ordinary than Lady Moodsella had anticipated, but she appreciates the vintage-style lock and key. After reading the instructions, Lady Moodsella realizes that if she writes on the diary's parchment, her words will simultaneously appear in all of the women's diaries. Soon after, they begin to communicate using the diaries that the other students inquire about, and they begin to introduce Mel's stationery store, which quickly expands to the Sophia Academy. When her friends notice that she seems to be thinking about something other than their diaries, Lady Moodsella explains that the women who followed Lady Sharia have been acting strangely over the past few days. They were subdued for a while because Duchess Babiloa's condition, but now they are acting arrogantly once more, and they are all eager to know what they are all up to. Haley, a 7-year-old student, offers to find out their secret. While Duke Hessman expresses concern for the Duchess of Babiloa, Sharia only smiles and assures him that all will work out according to God's plan. Duke Hessman is concerned that Sharia's plan is out of the ordinary, but he doesn't mind as long as he can still use her. Okay, these two aren't in love. Lennox did not pry and simply asks her why they should return to the Empire. Sharia tells him with delight that they can now go back home since her secret weapon to get rid of Mel is ready. She shows him the Holy Sword, which is capable of eliminating other species by causing mana reflux and can completely destroy someone. Since Mel is someone with blood from another species, in this case a dragon, the Holy Sword will surely be fatal to her. Then, her second weapon is selling holy water and holy items throughout the Empire. She claims that these are such new innovations that even the Pope himself orders her to sell them. He can really sense something has changed with Sharia and is more sinister than before. But apart from that, selling holy items is actually beneficial for him. So he approves of selling them in the shop he's constructing in front of the Academy, which is also close to Mel's shop. As Sharia embraces him, Lennox starts thinking that they should get engaged as soon as they return home so no one will try to take her away from him. Gosh, as if. Sharia can't wait and starts daydreaming about how everyone in the Empire will definitely congratulate their love. When Dominic returns to the stationery store, he is annoyed to see Isaac and Mel holding hands, although the two are undoubtedly doing their mana training. Dominic still despises his guts. To keep them from bickering, she sends Isaac off to his magic tower to finish his research on the holy water, while this little brother of hers proudly screams that he's staying since he lives together with Mel. As soon as Isaac leaves, Dominic tells her the truth about why he dislikes Isaac. He fears that he will lose Mel because of him. Mel instantly tells him that this will not happen since they are family, which makes our guy calm down. Their platonic relationship is really cute too. On a more serious note, Dominic has located her relatives, but they continue to avoid him as though they believe he will kill them all. Fortunately, he has marked them, so it won't be long before he finds them again. It would have been ideal to have met them before the ceremony, but that cannot be avoided, so Mel adjusts her plan to contact them after the event. In addition, she intends to reveal Dominic, the legendary hero, during her conferment ceremony. Since the Pope is supporting Sharia, Mel wants to show everyone that the legendary hero is on her side. By that time, Mel will have given Dominic an official title, and to her surprise, Dominic wants nothing more than to be a butler. While working in her shop, he discovers his love for decorating and learns from Marissa that a quiet, modest man is the best. She sees that Dominic has moved on from a hero who knows nothing but fights to find something he actually enjoys. However, she is still unsure since a butler position seems unsuitable for someone amazing like him. Our guy is overjoyed to learn that she is considering offering him a role comparable to that of a butler. What wonderful, wholesome dreams these two have! Anyway, since Prince Cassian has given her a list of aristocrats, the two of them have become busy selecting who to invite to her ceremony. Lady Moodsella and her circle, the cute noble children, and even the Academy president are all invited. Things are going so smoothly for Mel that she even went to several balls and invited guests until they began declining after the news that Sharia's engagement party will be on the same day as her conferment ceremony. Well, our girl is not worried since she herself has weapons against her and Hessman. Another letter declining Mel's invitation to her ceremony arrives, which really annoys our girl. When she sees Haley's letter while going through the letters, her anger starts to go away. She greatly appreciates Haley's assistance since she regularly sends helpful information about Sharia. Mel finds out that Sharia held a ball and told the noble ladies about her divine powers, and that the news has been spreading across their school secretly. Also, Haley has heard that the empress, who has been ill with mana reflux for the past decade, will be having dinner with Sharia, who may have the solution to her illness. Seeing as how this could potentially benefit Sharia, our little intel is urging Mel to intervene. Mel is not surprised by the news because she is aware that Sharia healed the Empress and everyone else in the novel, from nobles to beggars, which led to everyone worshipping her as if she were a god. She grew powerful enough to make the cripple walk and the blind see, but Mel thinks it unusual that she grew so strong. She suddenly thinks of Isaac, who has been investigating the holy water, and her cheeks flush as she wonders how he is. And as if Isaac was reading her mind, he shows up unexpectedly to her shop that evening, just in time to overhear her musings about him. Not knowing what else to say, he explains that he came by because it was such a beautiful night, which Mel finds completely absurd. Even though he maintains his cool demeanor, Mel can see how red his ears are and realizes maybe he came because he missed her. What surprises her is when he actually admits it, causing her heart to skip a beat. The ship is sailing, everyone! They go for a walk, and he tries to ease Mel's tension by telling her he's tracked down the man they saw at the auction house. The man has been searching for her the whole time, and surprisingly, he is a distant relative of hers through the Kinnoa line. Isaac believes the man could be the key to removing the dragon's curse from her, and he has also given him the location of her store, so her relative will soon visit her. Without realizing it, Mel has been biting her lips in deep thought, and our guy is so smooth that he gently touches her lips, closing the distance to stop her from hurting herself. Mel quickly backs away and thanks the sky for being dark so Isaac can't see her blushing face. When they return to her store, the auctioneer, Basil Kinnoa, using the alias Dalton, visits her and appears visibly trembling. Mel wants to know why he's looking for her when suddenly Basil is talking nonsense about how tall he is. Mel has no time for nonsense and doesn't understand why he's lying about his height, but Basil is relieved that she can see through his lies. Now, Mel finally understands why the people are so hyped during the auction, because Basil has been using his ability. Basil is crying as he begs Mel to help their family, explaining that priests from the Holy Kingdom have been looking for them to kill. Unlike him, Mel is from the direct bloodline of Kinnoa, so she must have exceptional abilities that can protect them. He explains that the family wasn't cursed, but rather blessed by a dragon, and that the negative effects only started appearing when the dragon went to sleep. Mel believes the effect causes people to die, but she is wrong. The only side effects are mana reflux, and those that died were murdered. She also discovers that their family has a medical genius who fixed their mana reflux, so it's actually not an issue, and that what matters is that they are being hunted to extinction. Mel promises to protect them, and after discovering that the cure works for more than just the Kinnoa family, she decides to heal the Empress herself. In the novel, Sharia rose to prominence when she was appointed as the Empress's healer, but she will not have the same luck this time since our girl will take it from her. Basil explains that they only need to soak the hypanele root in water and have the Empress drink it, and with no doubt, she'll be cured. And it looks like today is really Mel's lucky day since Basil has brought some of the roots with him. But before she can take it from Basil, Isaac, who's been listening quietly, stops her. He is aware that Mel intends to test the medicine on herself, and the two begin to argue because Isaac wants her to be cautious and have a pharmacist conduct preliminary research on the medicine first. She finds his stubbornness annoying, yet she feels odd having someone who actually cares about her. Her uneasy heart is put to rest when Basil interrupts them and assumes they are lovers. The two are hesitant to respond, but the tension is quickly diffused when Dominic arrives and becomes furious towards Basil, the relative he's been looking for. Mudsella and Mel are now in the carriage, and the lady shares that Sharia has been visiting the Empress and tried all sorts of medicine, but nothing seems to be effective, and the only thing she hasn't tried yet is her divine power. To help Mel get an audience with the Empress, the best Mudsella can do is to invite her and Sharia to a tea party with the Empress, but since Sharia will be late, she believes this is an ideal opportunity for Mel to win the Empress's affection. Mel introduces herself to the Empress, but what alarms Mudsella is that the Empress starts talking about her Back in the Day series. She worries that Mel won't appreciate the Empress's stories about her longing to return to the great outdoors and go hiking. Not to worry, our girl has got this covered. Mel, a lady of the younger generation, has taken the Empress by surprise by sharing her passion for hiking as well. And Mel's visions of them going to the highlands to drink wine are bringing the Empress's expressions to life more than ever. She can't wait to get better and go hiking with Mel. She has gained the heart of the Empress. The weather is fine. Everything looks perfect. And then along comes Sharia. Sharia sits across from Mel, and the Empress seems happy to see her arrive since she has been treating the illness for a while now. Sharia boasts that the Pope himself validated her divine power and that she could become a priestess, but she chooses not to so that she can continue to aid their empire in curing the sick. Mudsella and Mel are both annoyed by the way Sharia uses the Pope to elevate herself, but Mel knows this isn't the best way to boost oneself. Then a butler interrupts their discussion to announce that our little ball of sunshine, Zion, wants to see his mother. He races gleefully towards the Empress, but when he sees she's having a tea party, he quickly acts like a mature prince and greets the ladies, which Mel finds quite charming. Zion is startled to see Mel, and when his mother asks how he knows Lady Meldonic, he proudly explains that it was thanks to Mel that the Emperor recently became strong. He won't stop bragging about Mel's amazing innovations, and the Empress eventually remembers that Mel was the one he'd hoped to marry. Instead of boasting about her accomplishments herself, listening to Zion talk about it is the best way to elevate her value. He even adds that Mel has definitely brought something spectacular today, and he's not wrong since Mel has brought with her a flower that can aid the Empress's health. Zion cheerfully interjects to tell his mother that Mel's innovations are not only successful, but also have no side effects, unlike divine power. Sharia cuts in and insists her divine power doesn't come with any negative effects. But our little prince here knows what he's doing and doesn't believe her, stating she's not a true priestess and hasn't actually cured mana reflux before. Mel is greatly aided by Zion's unexpected entrance. It's almost as if he's been prepped on what to say. Good job. The Empress has taken Mel's medicine and is feeling strange, which is making Mel very nervous. Once the Empress reveals that her headache and the feeling of suffocation are gone, she heaves a sigh of relief. For the first time in a long time, the Empress is feeling at ease, and Mel is more than happy to help her take her medication once a week. She is shocked when the Empress unexpectedly takes her hand in hers to express her gratitude, while wondering where she came up with the solution to the mana reflux problem they've been facing for the past decade. As the two of them are happily chatting, Sharia purposely drops her teacup to cut off their discussion and tells the Empress that Mel, along with her divine power, would treat her. Mel foresees this, so to remove Sharia as the Empress's healer, she claims that her herbal medicine combined with divine power has not been clinically evaluated. Sharia must wait until the Empress is through with her herbal medicine. Mel can imagine how frustrated Sharia must be right now after she ruined her evil sister's schemes. At that moment, another lady tries to argue that maybe divine power is more helpful, but Lady Mutsella shuts her down. Not on her watch. The Empress has decided that she wants Mel to visit her once a week, which our girl gladly accepts. Sharia then assures Mutsella that they'll be meeting soon, but Mel cuts her off, demanding that they should be the ones to arrange a meeting since they have so much to discuss. Sharia takes the lead in initiating a conversation with Mel and begins to remark that she will come to regret making her an enemy. But Mel cuts her off, saying that it is she who will come to regret choosing trash she has thrown away. Mel even jokes about the condition of the Duke's reproductive ability, which she has damaged by kicking it twice before. Mel suggests that Sharia use her divine power to save her comatose mother rather than the Empress, but she is taken aback by Sharia's cold response. Mel knows that Sharia has always loved and cherished her mother, but now she seems to care less about her and even plans to take over her mother's business in order to fight against her. Before they end their conversation, Sharia warns her and her allies to stay out of her way, as if declaring a war on them. But Mel, firm as she is, simply says she can try if she can. Sharia is thinking of Mel, and despite the fact that she's already stolen the title of Empress Healer, she wonders why Mel is so prepared to fight her. She consoles herself by thinking of the Pope, who will make a new pure world soon, when Duke Hessman enters the room, yelling in wrath that he cannot live in disgrace, which surprises her. He explains that Prince Cassian mentioned his private life, aka his cheating affair, in an official event. Sharia immediately comforts him, telling him not to worry since they are having an affair. He can make a story that her sister is also having an affair. She informs him that she found out that her sister always went out with a commoner who had no status called Dominic. And as evil as she is, she plans to spread a cheating rumor about them. Rumors spread like wildfire, and she is certain Mel will not be able to redeem herself after this. While Dominic is still processing the fact that everything went according to plan, Basil bursts in, calling their names and inviting them to look at the newspaper he's holding. They read the story together, in which she is revealed to have had an affair with Dominic while still engaged to Duke Hessman. Neither of them responds, so Basil becomes concerned and suggests that they make an announcement that the report is not true. Mel and Dominic, however, just laugh it off, telling him that it's all part of their plan. Though our girl is secretly worried about Isaac and the possibility that he'll come to believe that she's a real cheater. Meanwhile, at the Magic Tower, Isaac's office is snowing since ice keeps coming out of his hand. Rasmus teases him, stating that Dominic is incredibly handsome and wonders if the rumors are true, but he is stopped by our quick-witted little Henry. Isaac is really sensitive about the rumor and admits that he cares so much about Mel. Before he starts to get really grumpy, he asks Rasmus to leave his office. Isaac decides to put his face in Mel, and his thoughts turn to the dragon egg in front of him, which shows no signs of hatching. But then he remembers that it's said to be the dragon's blessed blood, and he wonders whether he will offer the egg as a gift to her for receiving a new title. Dominic realizes it's Sharia's reception day and checks with Dominic to make sure he'll be there to check on what's going on. He tells her that he's done a thorough search of the place and found no evidence of anyone trying to kill anyone or conspiring. That the priests appear to be quite talented, though he doesn't know what their divine power is, and that he's considering trying to keep up because he feels something is about to happen. Before leaving, he offers her a crystal ball so she may share what he sees in the area and advises her to shake it a few times for it to work. After Dominic arrives at Sharia's reception, she hears a knock on the door and sees Isaac standing there. They greet each other and he delivers her the egg, telling her to accept it as a present. She is astonished to learn that it's a dragon's egg. He informs her that hatching dragons is difficult and the majority of them die within the egg. However, because she is a dragon-blessed kin, she may be able to meet a dragon, and he believes that this dragon may awaken and become her ally. Mel sets the dragon egg aside first and tells Isaac that something exciting is going on that day. Isaac tells her that he heard there's a small reception at the Babiloa family and assumes she'll go there if he doesn't show up at her place. She smiles and tells him she has already asked Dominic to go to the reception using invisibility magic, and she shows him the crystal ball. Isaac warns her that it could be dangerous for Dominic unless he is a competent mage, but she tells him she'll explain later, hoping that she'll soon be able to tell him about Dominic's true identity. They declare the sacred covenant between the Empire and the Holy People, and plan to distribute holy relics and holy water at the Babiloa and Hessman merchant centers. They describe how holy water helps the blind see and the cripple walk. The artifacts they brought don't seem powerful to Dominic, and when he analyzes them, he notices that they emit a different energy than the holy power he saw before entering the sword, making him worry whether they're fakes. Duke Hessman draws their attention by explaining that the Pope gave Sharia a light that dispels darkness and a holy sword that drives away evil 100 years ago. And Sharia displays the holy sword for all to see, prompting Dominic to wonder what happened since the holy sword does not appear in the original story. Dominic is surprised when Sharia tells the audience that the sword is related to Dominic, the greatest hero of the Empire, and has defended the Empire from alien races in the past, just like Dominic. He wants to correct her and tell her that he has nothing to do with the Holy Sword. She adds that many say he's his son, which the Pope confirms. Isaac is surprised by Mel's reaction this time. She believes they're crazy and wants to kick them out using Dominic's power, as he was celibate before marriage. Dominic wants to smash the reception hall, but Mel tells him to calm down because she wants proper revenge, and he should wait 2 more days. She promises to set the stage for him to reveal the truth. After destroying a mountain in a fit of frustration, Dominic returns home. Then he and Mel read the letters that had arrived shortly after Sharia declared her engagement and the support she received from the Pope. They are all apologizing for being unable to attend Mel's ceremony, as expected. But Mel isn't bothered. In fact, this saves her more time to figure out who is truly on her side. Basil, furious at Sharia's announcement, comes in, and Mel's apparent composure regarding the situation surprises him. Then he sees what he assumes to be a quail egg. No quail would lay an egg that enormous, sir. After discovering the egg is actually a dragon's, he wonders why Mel did not try hatching it. Basil seems to have some knowledge about dragon eggs, as he stated that Mel, having dragon blood herself, might hatch one just by touching it, as the main requirement for hatching a dragon egg is possessing dragon power. Mel is excited, so she tries holding it, but after a while of waiting, nothing happens, making her really embarrassed. She gets her hopes up for nothing and blames Basil for it when suddenly, the egg cracks and a cute, human-like dragon hatches. Another baby! The dragon baby opens his eyes and immediately begins smiling so sweetly that Mel can't take it. The adorable little dragon who Mel and Dominic have been minding suddenly names Isaac, who has just arrived, Dad. Well, they do look alike, and they even have the same beauty mark under their eyes. This must be because Isaac has been injecting mana into the egg while trying to hatch it. Then the baby dragon calls Mel Ma, which makes them his parents. This is so cute. However, we have one hater, and that's Dominic, reminding the baby dragon to address Mel properly. Oh, so cute. The dragon is giving him attitude and ends up closing his egg, claiming he won't last long since the hatching process is incomplete. Did he just unhatch himself? Mel suspects this is because she lacks the necessary mana to fully hatch the dragon, and she plans to investigate further. But in the meantime, she must focus on preparing for her conferment ceremony tomorrow. Meanwhile, Mel's rescue club is now busy at the magic tower, and cute little Henry is curious about it. He sits there in silence while Zion and Karat are busy writing something, when suddenly, Henry talks about Isaac and Mel being in a relationship. Karat quickly reassures Zion and Marissa that their master is a truly wonderful person when they express surprise and worry, respectively, about whether or not Isaac is a good partner for Mel. What really takes everyone surprised, though, is when young Henry reveals that Isaac and Mel now have a baby. Sorry, kids, they are now parents. Zion feels sorry for his brother. Marissa is disappointed that Dominic has lost, while Karat feels so proud that Isaac, his husband candidate, won. The time has come for Mel's conferment ceremony. Zion and Karat both look sharp in their suits, and Henry, the baby of the group, also stands out favorably. They're discussing the surprise they're planning for Mel to cheer her up, and they can't wait to ask her about the baby. Just then, the group's leader, Marissa, storms in, fuming and showing them a newspaper poster of a seductive Dominic with the headline that he's a womanizer. They both start to flush heavily at the poster, and little Henry's eyes are quickly covered by Karat. Cuties. They can't believe the other side is playing Mel so dirty, and Marissa even overheard her brother and Sharia talking about the holy water. They intend to broadcast their engagement and announce that they will not sell their so-called holy water to everyone who will be attending Mel's ceremony by linking their video sphere to the enormous one in the plaza and elsewhere. Marissa is getting concerned since she knows that not many people will show up to Mel's ceremony anymore. And to make matters worse, they just got word that the ceremony has been rescheduled. Mel's ceremony will take place 30 minutes before those two cheaters' engagement, which confuses them. Even though Zion is confused as to why his father would authorize such a last-minute change of schedule, he isn't worried since he knows the Emperor likes Mel, and Karat is convinced that Mel has planned this. Hours before the ceremony, Mel had actually visited the Emperor, who is grateful to her for assisting his wife's recovery. They discuss the flow of her conferment, but what catches the Emperor's eye is the box she brings with her. Mel proudly offers another gift, and the Emperor's grin beams with delight when she reveals it to be a pie that can grow hair. Just as expected, the Emperor seems happy about it, just like Dominic and Isaac said. They were discussing how to win the Emperor's heart again this time when Isaac mentioned that the Emperor has privately requested a hair grower for the Magic Tower. And because the medicine he's currently taking is bitter, the three of them managed to create a sweet food hair grower. The Emperor takes a bite. Can't believe a medicine can taste this good and can't wait for his hair to grow. He can't stop complimenting Mel, and so she uses this perfect time to request the time change for her ceremony. Even though he doesn't understand what Mel is up to, the Emperor puts his trust in her and even invites her on a holiday with the Empress sometime. Perhaps this is his way of comforting Mel, knowing that her sister and her ex-fiance are getting married. Our Teddy Emperor. I love him. Mel is now walking towards the ceremony hall when she meets a worried Isaac, who uses protection-like power and puts it on Mel's clothes. She takes a deep breath and enters the room with the Emperor, waiting to bestow her new title. Her preparations are complete, and everyone she wants to attend her ceremony is present, including the pleasant reporter who once wrote about her shop. The Emperor has now officially declared Mel as Marquise Meldonique Eve Kinnoa and has his spokesman recite all of the property that now belongs to her, which includes the stone mountains in the Perpina regions, buildings in the islands, and nothing more. Everyone has expected this since her father took all of the Kinnoa's wealth, and seeing Basil sob in the corner just makes her more determined to reclaim the Kinnoa's lost fortune. The Imperial Kingdom has also given her a new mansion, gold ingots, and other things, and to conclude the ceremony, Mel, who is still on her knees, swears to be a loyal member of the Empire. And before they start the celebration, Mel apologizes to the Emperor for not disclosing her final asset, and everyone is surprised to see Dominic appear beside her. The Emperor's spokesman becomes enraged and can't believe she dares to show off her cheating partner at the sacred ceremony. The Emperor has complete trust in Mel, maintaining his composure as Mel gives a thorough explanation. She begins by revealing she has signed a contract with a hero sword, and that heroic sword is none other than Dominicus. For short, Dominic. Everyone in the room is in great shock. The Emperor, the kids, and the other invited guests. While Mel and Dominic are talking using telepathy, they move on to their next plan, which is to display his power in the hall. The Cetrin Hall is named after the legendary hero Cetrin, and this is where every coronation takes place since its walls were reputed to be impenetrable by magic. To be able to casually use magic inside the hall, the person has to be someone stronger than Cetrin or someone who can use ancient magic. And in the legend, only Dominicus can use a magical glowing sword, so the Emperor and his spokesperson are starting to believe Mel's claim. She then informs the Emperor that these are people who've been spreading rumors that the great hero is her cheating partner and have even claimed that he has a blood relative. Dominic acts almighty and shows that he's not happy about it, but because he's nervous, it came out a bit awkward. But luckily, Dominic still won the Emperor's favor, so Mel asks the Emperor's permission to let them punish those who spread lies about Dominic. Dominic is really excited to make them pay, but of course, our girl is double, triple excited to make those cheaters pay. While all of this is going on, Duke Babiloa is furious and can't believe Sharia would backstab her sister. What bothers him even more is that Sharia never stops talking about the holy water. Since he is visibly distressed right now, this evil daughter of his suggests that he drink the holy water and assures him that it will calm his nerves. But after finishing the entire vial, her father faints, and she just watches him with a smirk. I swear, this girl is a lunatic. After exiting the room, Lennox, who appears nervous, informs her that Mel's ceremony has already begun, but she simply brushes it off, knowing that whatever Mel is planning would not work on them. Lennox, clearly traumatized, which he deserves by the way, warns Sharia not to be complacent. She assures him that the Holy Father is watching over them, and that she has made all the necessary preparations so he can rest easy. The two of them are now walking to their ceremony hall, and Sharia asks if he ever found the heroic sword, Dominicus. Of course, he did not, but he has a different sword called the Ego Sword, which he thinks will do just fine. Meanwhile, inside the ceremony area, the news about the holy sword being fake has finally arrived. But some of the nobility still have faith in the Hessman and Basil families. But they are beginning to believe the news after reading in the press that Mel has already proven it in front of the Emperor, and has even debunked the claims that Dominic is her cheating partner, but is actually the heroic sword. Just then, the bride and groom's arrival was announced, and Lennox checked the videosphere to make sure it was functioning properly. Unfortunately for them, their joy is cut short when an enraged noble demands to know the truth behind the rumors that the holy sword is a forgery, having spent a considerable sum on it. Of course, Lennox claims it is not, but look who's here. Our girl, who's coming to expose the cheating pair for what they are. Mel calls forth Dominic from the sword, and the hero emerges, warning the two of their certain punishment for staining his purity by faking that he has a son, the holy sword. Mel thinks Dominic's coolness level increased when he started gleaming like a real hero. Cuties. Sharia cries and screams, unable to believe Mel still hasn't moved on, to the extent of ruining her sacred engagement. Mel looks delighted by the entire situation, and she uses the opportunity to tell everyone in the hall that according to Dominic the heroic sword, their alleged holy sword is a fake. Sharia is adamant that Dominic is not the heroic sword, and that Mel is just attempting to hide her relationship with him. Really, the audacity of these cheaters! Dominic has had enough of their stupidity and releases a huge amount of power, enough to cover the entire area in dust, leading Lennox to believe he is the legendary hero. Dominic unleashes his light sword, reminding them of their crimes of spreading false affair rumors, and what irks him the most is how they disgrace his 1,000 years of purity by faking a holy sword as his son. So, with a single swing of his sword, he brings Duke Lennox to his knees. Dominic is ecstatic with what he's done and wants Mel to compliment him. These two still have time to joke around. Then Isaac, another stunning man who has the fake holy sword in his hands, arrives. As onlookers take in all of this drama, they begin talking badly about the adulterous couple. Lennox tries to turn off all of the videosphere, but sorry, not sorry. Isaac uses his power to make sure everything will stay broadcast to the masses. And to end this chapter, please look at Sharia's desperate face as she watches Mel and Dominic break her holy sword. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!